Hello, everybody. I welcome you all to the 10th day of this 21-day initiative. So today we'll be discussing Dr. V's story. General instructions, just please keep yourself muted, and when you'd like to just speak, you can unmute yourself and go ahead and contribute to the conversation. You can also write down your thoughts if you'd like to express yourself in terms of words in the chat box. Yes, so I'd like to start with a few words by Sri Aurobindo, which is also, I think, very relevant to today's story. So it's about the yoga of work. Self-dedication does not depend on the particular work you do, but on the spirit in which all work, of whatever kind it may be, is done. Any work done well and carefully as a sacrifice to the divine, without desire or egoism, with equality of mind and calm tranquility, in good or bad fortune, for the sake of the divine and not for the sake of any personal gain, reward, or result, with the consciousness that it is the divine power to which all work belongs, is a means of self-dedication through karma. So since I think Dr. V's story also mentions Sri Aurobindo as like inspiration, I thought, and the fact that this particular writing also refers to work and the selflessness and the passion to do work not for the sake of profit or any expectations, but rather to spread joy and to spread his knowledge and to also help the people out there. I thought that it was very relevant to today's story. So you guys can go ahead and share your experience of the reading. I think we can start with that, if anyone would like to come up. Did anyone know about Aravind Eye Hospital before reading this story, this piece of writing? If so, how? Hi, Aditya.
Hi, Soundarya. It's a pleasure to discuss about this book particularly. I've actually heard about this Aravind Eye Hospital before. I've heard about it from a person, I guess all of you would have heard about artist Manohar Devadas. He recently received a Padma Shri award. He used to, whenever I used to had this opportunity to have a conversation with him, he used to bring up his experience with Aravind Eye Hospital and Dr. V. But back then I didn't know much about it, so I was just nodding my head. But when I was reading the story in particular, I was just recollecting what he used to tell me, how he was very much inspired by the work of Dr. V. So I was recollecting all those conversations I had with him. The book was amazing. I just don't have any words to tell about such a human being of a godly nature to do service to mankind. That's very nice. You know, without even learning, you don't have to get a degree in MBA to do such service. You just do it by practice and kindness towards humanity. I found that to be really great about the book.
Thank you for sharing. I do agree that I think his core values were aligned with compassion, generosity, and you know, such aspects. And I think that's why his practice, and he's known for such things because of his values that he set as a platform. So yeah, thank you for sharing. Anybody else would like to share their experience?
Hello.
Hi,
So,
Sagar.
hi. I've actually heard a lot about Arvind eye specialty, but I actually never knew the story that rooted from its origin. And I think that today's article or the book which the narrator narrates, I think it really captured everything in a very precise manner. And coming to the qualities that, again, as discussed, Dr. V practiced, I believe, again, talking about yesterday how Maury also had a difficult time with the ALS. He went through a difficult time too, Dr. V. And I believe he wasn't always a man that he was constantly learning too, just like how Maury learned from his actions, from the pain that he was going through. And I think that brought him closer to every day, closer to where he was at the end of his journey. And I think everyone can strive to. It's never too late. I think everyone can go on and practice whatever they want to, whatever they believe in every day, and keep at it. And just like how the narrator said, you don't have to be a doctor to do well. The narrator wasn't a doctor, but he contributed to us through his book, through his words. So yeah, I just wanted to share that. I think it's a beautiful book. It was it was translated in a very efficient manner, and I've just so well coming to the questions that maybe I can ask. I was just curious curious to know how can someone further develop compassion. Like it is literally I find it difficult to be productive always, and I believe we have those phases in our life too. Are there any how can one continuously be at it without having this feeling of being burnt out or being tired or being not motivated? Is there anyone who can maybe share their insights on that?
That is a very interesting question. I open it up to the audience. Does anyone have anything to say for that? Akshaya?
I think, hi.
Go ahead.
I think the fact that you're succeeding at such a scale by itself will prevent a burnout. But when we are doing things like this, like someone, let's say we get into a group who's cleaning beaches and every month the beach comes back to the same shape it was in before cleanup, there will be a sense of like, what are we doing this for? Or that sense of burnout. So it really depends on the scale and the success in the venture to prevent a burnout. That's what I think.
The fact that you even question and pause at times, like when you're like a little low, I think is a proof that you're trying to improve constantly. Because like otherwise you'd probably be satisfied with the work you're doing and then say like, okay, this is it, I'm doing great, or like I think this is enough, and you'd probably stop. But the fact that you're questioning and you feel as if it's not enough and you keep like trying to go forward is already something that's probably like a driving force that's telling you, there's something more to it, there's something more. So I think that's my take on it. And I'm sure even Dr. V probably would have had times when it was very difficult, or when it was when it seemed as if it's not really going in the direction he probably predicted. But well, that might have also pushed him more further. And the fact that he had a very clear vision is also something we have to remember, because he even mentioned it, I think, that when things are like your aim or your motive or your vision is very clear, and you know what you're working for or what you're trying to spread out there, then it becomes very clear. And times like that, when you feel like, okay, it's not really happening, will probably seem like it's okay, I'll try more, and then it might work out. Anyone else would like to share how they tackle such situations when you feel like giving up? Or when the world doesn't really go along with your vision?
Hi. I always believe that the world never goes as you planned. So, I believe that Dr. V has actually had seen a lot of things in his childhood that made him give a driving force to actually be a better person and do something good for the place around him, at least. So that was his smallest driving force that started. And then when he couldn't fulfill what he was aiming for, he tried another way and he wanted to save the people in another sort of form, which he can. And actually giving up everything, putting the life on everyone's life on stake and doing that is a big thing. I don't think in today's world that anyone would give up everything on stake and just jump into and serve people. But that Dr. V did it, and it is a great thing that he has started the small moment, and a lot of people have been inspired by him. So yeah, putting forward that it has been great reading about him, and I feel like, okay, fine, there is a person who has been like this, putting everything on stake and then pushing himself and pushing people along with him that believes him and is moving forward.
Yes.
So yeah.
Thank you, Bhargavi. Another aspect that this brings me wondering about is the fact that he was constantly learning. Like I think also Sagar mentioned, because of his past experiences and the pain that he went through. But despite all that, he kept learning from everyday life and people and things that he came across. Like there's this example where he took McDonald's as inspiration and then said he didn't look at the product that they were doing, but the process, like how their business runs, how their system functions. And I think that's also inspiring because at the end, I think you can draw clues and then like take inspiration from everything around you if you just pay attention and if you start noticing and observing. So yeah. Anyone has something to add on that quality? Like, for example, I'm an architecture student, and at the beginning of the course, we used to have, the usual way of, like, there was a certain system of going about design, and we used to try to explain our design in terms of concepts. So a concept is, at the beginning, we used to be like, yeah, I'm inspired from the leaf or like the design of this and whatnot. So I'm wondering if you, like any one of you had some like crazy things that you got inspired from that gave like a huge change in your life or something that you do. You can share it if you would like to. There's this other time also, like similar to the McDonald's. Yeah, Aditya, you'd like to say something?
I was having a question when I was reading the book. All of us have, many of us have some sort of aims or ideas that we should do something useful for someone or something useful for the mankind. We have that idea, but when it comes to the process, people surrounding us or the way we live, we are supposed to go in a very different manner rather than just working out this particular idea. I think we need a lot of self courage, motivation from the people around us and the society around us, to take up such a challenge, to do such thing, such great thing. Why isn't it happening? My question is, why can't it happen, in a large, why can't all people do it? All of us read it. All of us must have come across these stories in different manner, not only this person, but, Mother Teresa or many other people who just, lots of compassion, stories about compassion. But when it comes to life, we always think about ourselves, family, work, like that. So why isn't it happening? Is it because the situations around us, or what is it? Or are these people just born for this particular purpose? That is why they get such opportunities to venture out into doing something great to the mankind, or how does it happens?
That is a very interesting and deep question. I'd like to know if anyone would like to respond to that.
Hi. Yeah, I think I have a response, but then I don't know if it is going to answer Aditya's question properly. But then what I think is, even I myself had this doubt, and it astonished me how this man had one goal and how anything else happening around him did not distract him from reaching it, from doing the mission, because he was doing it for as I read the book, he was doing it for free, and then he was giving an option of people paying them of their own wish and will, and that is not an easy thing to do when he did not look at it as a business. He looked at it as a service, but then after it reaches a point, a level, it is very difficult for a person to not look at this thing as a business and then still continue to do it in a manner of a service. So, and to answer Aditya's question, we do read a lot of stories like this on compassion, on Mother Teresa, or on Dr. V today. But then, like today, I'm reading this story, and tomorrow I will definitely come across something like Ambani's story, which is very ambitious. So it is. I think it is confusing us. Like for me, I don't know. I'm actually a very confused person in life at this moment. Like I keep reading so many different stuffs, and it's really confusing. And people around you, sometimes people around you are expecting something from you, and sometimes you feel motivated by that, and then one other day you're reading something like this and it feels, okay, what am I working for? What is this? What am I working towards? And what is the point of all these ambitions in life when you are, when you can actually give people what you have? So it's actually very confusing. Our society, it is divided, and it has so many perspectives and views, and we are when we are actually exposed to all of it, it's really confusing. When people are not exposed to all of it, and when people are actually focusing on only one thing, either to become an Ambani or either to become Dr. V, for them, I think it's quite easier to focus on something and then be that. But then when you are reading about everything and when you're getting to know about everything, it's really confusing to what to follow. I think that is where you actually, I think you have to be self-aware to understand what you really want and what you really wish. And then when you reach that understanding, you will become either Ambani or Dr. V. I think that's my take. And I'm still figuring out what I want.
See, I think I can offer a small solution. See, as I understand it, even an altruistic approach requires a business model. For example, in this story, in the beginning, it's mentioned that Dr. V sold his house or mortgaged his house to raise 2 lakhs, then started it on that. But obviously at that point also, he was expecting some returns on that 2 lakhs. So all along, anything you take up the Banyan, for example, Vandana Gokumar and Vaishnavi, they also established a certain business model. You take up other orphanages, there is a business model. Okay, where is the money for sustenance going to? Okay, let's say even if I put in so much of my money and I start a venture, but I have to sustain it. I have to pay so many people. I have to get the place cleaned up or something, whatever are the maintenance costs. So a business model is necessary even in altruism. So let's not say that is not required for sustenance, because you can't help somebody 1 month and next month say I have nothing, I cannot do it, I cannot. Now you've made him dependent on you and you can't help him. That's even worse than helping him the first time. So I don't think there's anything wrong in thinking in those lines, in that manner. The question again becomes, we can only sustain after we sustain ourselves. So we have to first sustain ourselves. That's the first step, according to me.
Yeah, I think that's really very true. That is very true, which I think that is where he wanted. I mean, he took inspiration from McDonald's, and he had these 3 rules for himself, and then he brought this up where people can pay him, and he related it to dignity. I think that is his business model from what I understood. That is his business model. But then what I am trying to say here is that business model or that business, what I'm trying to say is he did not get distracted or deviated by it anyway. By business, I meant he did not get deviated into money-making business. I'm saying it was his motto was even though he was even though he had a business model, that did not deviate him from making money, and that did not become his motive. His motive was still service, and he was still providing free service to people who were not able to afford it. So that astonishes me, not getting deviated. And then they mentioned that it was a family business to get all of them following the similar motive and inspire everybody to do the same thing. That is very difficult. But then looking at them following it even today, that is really great, amazing.
Thanks, Pavitra and Vimal. That was a completely new perception, and I was able to get a lot of idea on that. But while listening to the perceptions, I also have some more questions. As in, what I get it is it's determination and love for one's passion or what he wants to do. That is what drives him throughout his life. But what I was thinking was when we read the book on the man who planted trees. Similarly, the person who planted that nomad who planted the trees, he was also driven by determination. He was the story was as if he was a complete nomad. He didn't have any sort of so. My question is in the present society, is it that a person can't live a nomadic life or do something great to the human mankind, or does he still need a business model which is not his motive, but in order to sustain in the society? So that does it happens like that? Even Mahatma Gandhi, he gave up all the things he had. He was very minimalistic. He was a lawyer and he gave up his profession. So my question is, do we need to have something to so that the society will believe us that we are capable of doing something? Yeah. Thank you.
Does anyone like to answer to that? Though I do think that those are 2 very extreme examples that we can take. If we take Mahatma Gandhi, it is quite contrasting to what Dr. V was doing, not in terms of the qualities or the core values that they had, But in terms of the scale that they were working on and what they're putting out there, like Dr. V was providing a service for which, of course, he had to probably build a business model, as Vimal was also mentioning. He had to be prepared of what all is involved in that service. He had to make sure that he did have the resources, he did have the people, like the doctors and also like proper place and things like that as well. Like at a particular point, I think they mentioned that there were buses running up and down from villages and then like, transporting people. So he probably wouldn't have had it till that end. But of course, to start off with, he would have had to work out the system. And as she said, he would have probably had to have enough to sustain himself then in order to provide the service. But as of Mahatma Gandhi, he had a vision, and I think he was not responsible of taking care of these people and also like making sure that there's place, food, and stuff like that. He was more like, I have this vision, I'm going forward for it. And people were inspired and, of course, came along with him. So, in that sense, I think they are a little different. But both of them had a very clear vision and had a very strong mindset that didn't really deviate from at any point of time. That's my take on it. Anyone else would like to add on?
So I think one other thing I'd like to add on would be maybe that the idea of self-sustaining, it's not just about understanding your needs, the needs of the flesh, but it was also to, I think he was also practicing this this notion of, understanding and taking joy from the things that he did, which I think were far overpowering than the wealth he was earning or the kind of people he got to know or the kind of publicity that he was gaining from it. The idea of taking in joy from helping people, I think that far motivated him to attain where he reached at the end, even though the scale was varying over time, where he was helping a few people to millions spread over different countries. So I think when we look at stories where people actually get out of their comfort zones and pull off what Dr. V pulled off today while we were reading, I think we should not take it or look at it as a difficult or a narrow path to walk upon, but also that it holds many treasures that many of us have not come to see entirely yet, or we haven't realized yet. So I think it somehow maintains that equilibrium. It's just that we get to see it when we walk on that path. Until then, we think it's difficult. It is, but just not as much as I think it is. Yeah, that's it.
Very interesting point. It's true. Like, I think the fact that he enjoyed the process and he was also learning from it kept him moving forward. And it wasn't just, okay, I have this and I'm gonna put it out there. Very interesting point. Thank you, Sagar. It also reminds me of that part where it said, sharing your strength amplifies it manifold. Like he was willing to share what he knew, and it was also like, I think there was this part where they said that ARAVIND Eye Hospital also was willing to teach other hospitals how they work and the mechanism and things like that. So again, they were not like, okay, we have this idea and it's only going to be us. It wasn't like that. Another aspect to discuss would be the timelessness that they were talking about towards the end. I found it very interesting that they were comparing the institution to building a temple. So the fact that those ancient temples, example being Meenakshi temple in Madurai, he was comparing a materialistic, like a physical aspect, with a concept or an idea taken forward. So both of these sort of like contrasting aspects, he was explaining it in terms of timelessness. So I was wondering if anyone would like to comment on that.
On the first topic that you brought up regarding sharing your knowledge, sharing what you know, I personally do find it difficult to practice that honestly. I'm sure some of us here do, maybe. And I think one thing that helps me is to be self-aware at that point, as to really be conscious as to what am I actually doing, and that maybe what I'm struggling with is not entirely right or not entirely healthy. Although I think the only thing that's helped me to fight that is to be self-aware. Are there any other perspectives on that? I'll be glad to learn from anyone. Thank you.
Could you repeat the question?
When you learn something, you perhaps hold it very close to you. You consider it to be very precious, and that you can live in this imagery that if I share it, I might lose it, or that the idea of profit or the idea of keeping more to you, in a sense, talking about greed. I have seen me struggling with it sometimes. I've also seen some of my friends do. And I was telling that one thing that helps me is to come back into the moment and be self-aware. But I was curious as to see if there are other things that I think I'm missing out on, that I think would help me and maybe my friends too, and everyone who's listening if they struggle. With the same. That was my question. Was I able to articulate that?
So I'm not able to follow you very correctly, because when you say you have knowledge and you don't want to share that knowledge.
I think Sagar, are you talking about the fact that, when you perceive an idea, it seems like it's yours, and then if someone else does it, you feel as if it's like...
probably being lost somewhere in the process, or not being used justfully. Or maybe it could be personal gains. I don't know.
Ownership of a certain idea, or
perhaps
that it's mine and it came from me, and like that.
I think it's not just ownership of idea. I think Sagar is talking about sharing it with others and then them benefiting from it. So it's exactly what the book says. Sharing your strength is how selfless act it is. I think Sagar is mentioning that he is not able to perform that selfless act, which is the same thing that I am struggling with too. So even I'm looking for an answer. So I think I'm right, Sagar. If you're, is it what you're trying to say?
Yeah, Pavita, I think you hit the bullseye. You hit the mark.
Yeah. So I'm looking for an answer as well.
Yeah.
Basically, you're saying that you can't open source your knowledge or whatever your skill is. You don't want to open source it.
Yeah, I would say that when I know that it's coming only from me, and when I know that it is an advantage which is definitely going to benefit me, I would not want to share it with others until I see the benefit, at least. So that I'm on the upper hand, I'm actually being so vulnerable here. This is something that I would never want to agree, and I actually feel bad about it for having this quality. But then, yeah, I'm looking for an answer. So I really want to change this quality because I understand that it's not a healthy thing. But then, yeah, I'm finding it difficult to actually change it. So to share what benefits that I have with me, which originated from me, and to see others benefit from it until I am in a upper hand and like I'm there, I'm done already. So now you can benefit from it. So I think I need
basically I'd say that there is no such thing as so everything changes. Your good idea is going to be bettered by somebody else, whether
exactly,
you share it or not. A, somebody else might come up with it. B, any case, even when you put it out there, somebody else is going to better it. It's not going to stay stagnant. And if your idea is bettered by somebody else, it's a good learning process for you. You better your own idea, which has been bettered by somebody else, and this is a growing thing. It keeps on growing and becoming better, and it's the best way to shed your ego at every stage, because at every stage you are told that, okay, hey, this is all. There's someone over there who's achieving more than you. So it's all a great exercise in learning. So if you share, you also know whether you whatever you thought as great, was it really great or not? That's also
that's true. That's true. It is, there's definitely going to be something better and best. I mean, it's definitely going to keep coming up, and it's very subjective as well. But then I think I have to learn to not keep it to myself, and it's really amazing to read that some person is not afraid of sharing his strengths outside. Weaknesses everyone does, and some of us do not. But then sharing your strength, I think it takes much more strength to share your strength. That's what I feel, because like normally, like people like Sagar and me, people who is not as wise as or as self-aware as Dr. V, we tend to keep it to ourselves, thinking that it's going to give us some benefit than others. But then I think we have to reach a point to understand that it's someone is always going to be better than us, and someone is always going to be there to share it out. So it's not just us. I think we need that learning. I think we need to work on it.
I really have to thank for bringing up this question, because I've also faced it many times, but I haven't, got that sort of answer to get rid of this emotion within me. But as Vimal was saying, which is something which is actually very great for us, or something which we actually think is great about us, if we share to someone, it doesn't has to be great for them. It is just a piece of a sentence in a conversation or something like that, and they will build up the conversation and it may move on to something else. So I think we are all just learning by conversing our ideas with someone. But though I am able to tell this, still I'm not able to preach it when it comes to myself. So I think it needs a lot of courage to break out of that thing to
I think before anything else, it takes a lot of courage to first of all accept your weakness and accept things that you're doing. So already there, I think, Pavitra, that you are very self-aware. If you know that this is happening to you and you would like to change, according to me, I think that's already like pretty interesting, because that means you're so aware of yourself that you notice these things in you. So I'm not sure how.
Yeah, thank you.
But,
and I think awareness is also half the battle won. Yeah,
definitely. This brings me to another point that I'd like to discuss. Maybe weakness becoming the strength. Like Dr. V, I think, like when they were mentioning about his early stages and his life and whatnot, it was mentioned that he had this problem. I'm not sure of the technical term, but then his fingers couldn't really move well. But then he was operating an eye with those fingers. So it's not as if he was fully able, but even with that becoming a weakness, he could still continue. So I'm curious to know if any one of you have realized one's weaknesses and then taken it forward from there, or the weakness that has transformed itself later to becoming a strength.
Hi, even I was actually curious about that because taking forward a weakness and making it your strength is a really tough task. I have not come across a lot of people, but I've heard about them, and them putting their self, bringing courage to bring out the weakness and then find out the alternative that they can do. So. Yeah, when Dr. V could operate with such courage, with his twisted hand, twisted fingers, that too, was remarkable. And yeah, and there are so many people who are trying to do so many things with disabilities or with growing weaknesses inside them. So coming over, first being aware of a weakness is a huge thing, and then sorting it out and driving it through with learning something new is actually a really big thing. And yeah, if each one of us start doing it, it might somehow become, putting us forward, and maybe somehow we might help one another. Yeah.
Definitely. Let me rephrase maybe. Yeah, there are probably very few scenarios that we hear of where the weakness becomes a strength. But maybe it could also be a weakness you think was a weakness, but actually is your strength. Like, maybe to give an example, me being an architecture student, I always thought that, until the first 2 years, we were all just on the same page. We were using our hands a lot and like sketching and doing things manually. But yeah, from the third year onwards, it slowly started to become that we had to use software and things like that, which I wasn't really comfortable with. So I used to stick to my likings, and I really enjoyed doing things manually as well. But somehow, since I was one of the very few, or probably the only one amongst my surroundings to do so, I started to think that it was a weakness, and I started to become scared because it felt as if, I don't know what that is, and maybe that's more important, and this is not really the thing that I should be continuing with. But then, because of teachers and some really supportive people in my life, I did understand that actually the fact that I enjoyed doing things manually was not a weakness, but actually my strength. So from there was this awakening moment, this realization, and then I carried it forward. And now if someone comes up to me saying that, I'm scared because I don't know digital software or things like that, I like help them out and then make sure that they don't feel that way. And like whatever skills that you have is already where you should start from. So yeah, anyone can add on or like share your experience if you have any.
Talking about this and then going back to the point that was spoken about before earlier. Given that I understand that it could be a weakness about sharing things and all that, when I was put in a situation where I had to actually share things, I did find myself to be trying to, bridge that gap of trying to express how much ever I can completely. So I think I'm working on it, and I think again the idea of being aware about what your weaknesses are is definitely going to get you there. The fact that you know it and that you are willing to put in some effort into it is enough. In some way, that is being perfect, according to one of the first books that we read. So yeah, I think that's one instance that I think I can give. It's to just do it. Although it is a very your weaknesses are subjective. I did find people who are very, very older than me still practicing the same, and them having their own share of influences. But it's just that I remember coming across this this, I don't know, it was a quote or it was a statement from someone, but it said that like the first thing when you're in any situation, the first thought that comes into your mind can be what you were taught by someone or by yourself maybe. But the second thing that you think maybe is something that you want to bring in. You want to bring in a change, and that could be the second thing that you think of, and you actually work on it. So it's okay if you think you're not good enough. It's okay if you think whatever you want to think, but it's also important to act on it and give yourself a little pat on the shoulder and tell yourself that you can do it. I think that's one way to tackle with weaknesses. Make them your strength. Thank you.
Thank you, Sagar, for sharing. I've also heard that it's quite like, wow. And I've seen it also, like sometimes I step back and then notice what I say and then what I think, and I'm like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, thanks for reminding. I think we can take one more person or any point that they'd like to share. And if not, we can slowly wind up. I'm wondering, does anyone know of any other people or like inspiring stories such as these that dealt with the common and the people and really, built that trust among people? And it wasn't really audience specific. It was a wide range of people. Even here, I think it was mentioned that anyone could walk in, like a farmer who finished his work and then came inside. At the same time, the president of India. So, like, does anyone know of any other such stories that they'd like to maybe share before we end?
Of course, there is a story of the Devi hospitals. All of you must have heard of Dr. Shetty in Bangalore. So, I mean, I'm just wondering whether outside the medical field are there this level of philanthropy. I'm not sure.
That was what I was wondering as well, like out of this field.
There is this institution called as Shanti Gears in Coimbatore. It's actually a very big mill company. The owner of the institution, he runs a huge mess So the idea of the mess is actually anyone can come and eat there. Anyone, be it a very rich person or even a person who a beggar or a farmer, whoever it is. If you have money, the minimum wages for the meal is just 30 rupees. They take money from you only if you would like to pay for the meal. So similarly, as we read in the book, people out of consciousness, people who have money, they automatically pay for the meal. So this money will go for the people who don't have money. They can just walk in and they can eat for free. The same quality of meal which is being served for the person who pays whatever he wants is being served for the person who didn't pay as well. So it's 3-course meal which they offer, and you can go and ask them. The quantity doesn't matter as well. So I thought providing food to someone like that was very nice. Something like this, which when you asked, it just came up in my mind.
Thank you for sharing, Aditya. This is new to me.
If you go to Coimbatore, just try it out. Shanti Gears.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess then with that note, we can end the session. Thank you so much for such honest responses. It was nice interacting with you all, and I'm glad that everyone or like whoever interacted was very honest with whatever they said. It's interesting, and I guess already there the first step starts. So thank you. We'll meet tomorrow again for the next session. It'd be also, I think this is something that other people told me. It's nice to also write it down so you know where you are at now, and then later when you look back, maybe it helps you to improve in whatever aspect of life or like qualities, anything. So yeah, do share this with other people as well so that they can join and then interact with us. Looking forward to see you all tomorrow.